I can start.
Yeah.
All right.
Can you just hang on a second? I just actually came to tell them about the supply.
Oh, okay.
Angela, cannot. Louisa，
嗯
水彩我買咗啦。如果你需要水彩嘅，嘟。
，OK，好啊。
如果你要嘅，如果你嚟教堂嘅，我拎俾你啦。
哦，咁啊，
啊係，
幾時啊？星期四
係啦，星期二、星期四我哋都會喺教堂噶啦。
？OK，好啊，
OK 好。
好啊，唔該晒。
Zoe。
嗯，
In case you're talking to them, like I have some of the water painting supplies. If they need any of the water painting supplies, I have the brushes
Oh, okay.
and the paints. They can come and get them from me. They can just contact me and get it from me.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Have a good class.
All right, thanks. All right. Well, this is what we will be painting today. Um, and today we will be using some pencil as well as some pen. I'm just using a ballpoint pen. Like anything works. It's just for the end, so it's not like it doesn't have to be a fancy pen or anything. Um, but yeah, this is what we are painting. If you'd like a photo of it, I'll leave it up for another minute. Um, these are the colors that I'm using today. Um, so you can see a blue, a yellowish color, a red, two greens, a gray, and a darker yellow. Um, yeah, and we will get started in a second. Um, so take a photo now if you'd like to follow along with the photo. I can also show it at any point during the class if you'd like me to. Just let me know. And we will get started. All right, so this is the paper I'm using today. It is just an 11 by 17, but any size really works. And we're going to start off with a pencil and just start by going in about a third through the canvas and drawing in the sea line, like the horizon line of the sea, into the paper. So about a third of the way, try to get it as straight-ish as possible, but it doesn't have to be perfect or anything like that. Um, and then we will start by sketching in the land portion here, just drawing sort of like uh, this kind of a shape. Why is my camera doing that? Okay, there we go. Um, and adding a little triangle on that side. Um, yeah, kind of having like almost a pyramid with the like top of it cut off. And just adding in a little bit of like different areas to the island. So it looks a little bit like that. And then adding in a top portion, which is going to be the like grassy area of the island up here like this. And then adding in a little same kind of triangle-ish shape. What is it called? A trapezoid, I think. I'm not sure. But adding in another shape for your rock here, and then adding that top part for grass. Like that. And then we we are going to add the lighthouse on top of this island here. I'm going to make mine a little bit bigger. Just because it's a little bit small. All right. For who just showed up, this is what we are painting today. Yeah.
Thank you.
So
My apologies for being late. I had another meeting
no
at
worries.
o'clock.
It's totally fine. Um, so yeah, these are our little islands here. And then in a second we will start doing the lighthouse. It's pretty simple pencil, just a little bit of planning kind of, right? Because it's not an organic, like more organic shape this week. It's a little bit easier to do if you have it penciled in first. So you can use a ruler for this if you'd like, but just adding in the lighthouse. You want it to be pretty tall. Oh, that's very, it's a little bit leaning. So another reason why having tape on your paper is nice is you can see when your drawing is leaning. And that's why an eraser is very useful. So that is the kind of base shape of our lighthouse here. And we're going to add in the top in just a second here. So you do want to keep your lines a little bit lighter because anything that you draw here and put paint on top of it will be shown underneath the paint. So next, ooh, this next. Because we are adding in a little house next to the lighthouse, I'm just extending my island a little bit to accommodate it and just adding in um, a little rectangle here with like a very similar shape to the island in like a roof here where you're just doing uh, I think it is a trapezoid is what it's called. But yeah, and then taking an eraser and erasing the lines inside like that. And then we're going to draw in the top of the lighthouse. So just adding like an upside down trapezoid to it, like so. And then going up again and adding a roof on top. Like this. I also added in like to make these sides thicker so it looked a little bit more substantial. So this is our base here. So this is what is our like foundation of what we're going to paint on top of. Um, yeah. If I am going fast, let me know. I don't mind if you tell me to slow down or go over anything again. Yeah. So right now I'm just kind of like refining the shape that I want the grass area to be and the island outline-ish, what I want it to look like. And if you have these like pointy parts, so you see how it's kind of like jagged, it looks more like realistic if you add in these like jaggedy parts, because islands are very like irregular, so adding in things like that help make it look more realistic. And in just a minute, we'll start some painting, but I'll give you guys some time to refine your sketch a little bit. Okay, we're going to be starting off by painting the ocean. Um, and with that, I'm just going to be using this dark blue at the top here, but just using very little amounts of paint and quite a bit of water because we want it to spread out. So just getting like your brush like mostly wet, not dripping, but still pretty wet, and then just putting it into dark blue and going along that horizon line that we originally made. And then from here, it's very similar to like the sky that we did from the first painting, where you're just kind of dragging that darker color from the top downward. And you can also get more blue and adding it in like this. And if you remember on hold on a sec, on this one, you can see a lot of white spots, and that helps the water look like wet, like reflective, right? So in order to do that, I hold my brush kind of at like a 45-degree angle to the paper and just add in um, white spots within the blue that I'm painting. And you can take more blue and add in lines that are very similar to the white spots, just with the dark blue. And you want to just take it all the way to the bottom of your canvas and all the way to the sides as well. And I like to go around my pencil, like the outline of my pencil, and then take the paint from there out. And sometimes I'll wash off my brush, dry it a bit, and then take the paint that's already on my paper and drag it around. Like so. So here I have all of the like paper kind of painted already. But you can go in like over top of what you've already done and just adding in a little bit of some like darker parts and things, or taking more water on your paintbrush and blending out parts that you think are too dark. Yeah, so there is our water. In a minute, we'll move on to the sky. A couple of years ago, my grandmother actually lived in a house near a lighthouse. She did a residency on an island in um what is it, Lake Superior, and she got to paint the lighthouse there. And she got it was actually pretty cool. Other than that, though, I don't think I've ever seen any lighthouses in person. Um, yeah. So moving on to the sky, it's very simple. It's mainly like you don't want a whole lot of water on your brush for this part. So, or sorry, you don't want a whole lot of pigment on your brush. You want a lot of water on your brush. So just getting the smallest amount of color and just spreading it out all over the place. So because we did the sketch underneath, now we don't really have to worry about painting blue where the white of our lighthouse is supposed to be. Because if you just paint outside the pencil, then we can keep the parts that we want to stay white. We can keep them white. So for the sky, you want to keep most of the dark color um, at the top and get it to be lighter near the bottom. Sorry if you could hear that. My dad just came downstairs. Um, yeah, so just dragging the dark color down and spreading it out. Um, yeah, so the reason we want to keep it darker at the top is so um it kind of follows the same dark at the top and lighter at the bottom as the water, which will help distinct them from each other. So you can kind of, without switching colors, as we're using the same blue for the sky and the water, without switching colors, you can still leave a distinct difference between the two just by where you put the saturated pigments. And if it's too light, just go in and add more darker blue to the top and spread it out. All right, this will take a second to dry, and then we can move on. All right, for who just showed up, this is the painting we are doing today. If you'd like a quick photo of it. Well, I hope you all are having a really good week. I had the weekend off from my other job, and I got to spend it all drawing, which was a lot of fun. So I spent Friday, Saturday, and Sunday almost the whole day. I spent it drawing and painting, which is definitely what I like to do in my free time. Um, yeah. So now we're going to move on to these cliffs here. And we're going to be using this gray color that I have. Um, as you can see, we're using this. And you do kind of want it really saturated, the color on your brush, at the moment, as we're going to be putting in the shadows of the island here. So these shadows are going to go anywhere, um, like, so you see how there's a pencil line here? I'm going to go on this side of it. And yeah, so this will be kind of like the shadows of the rock here. And you kind of want to put them like out a little bit. And we kind of want them underneath some of this grass here, like that. As it's a little bit of like almost an overhang in some spots. You don't have to do it everywhere, but yeah, so adding in shadows like this. Just where it's going to be like quite a bit darker on the stones of the island. And then if you completely get all the pigment off of your brush and you get it like slightly wet, not like super soaked with water, but just a little bit, you can feather out the color and add in the mid-tone of the rock color here. And you want to leave kind of this like line of white of just the paper to show like the highlights in the rock or the base of the island. Yeah, so you see, because we've created midtones and shadows within the rock, it looks more 3D than if we were just to color it all in one color. Well, it is in one color, but just like one tone. And something you can do to add texture to your rock is to get your brush pretty dry and just taking a little bit of that color and just like dotting it in some places. Not too much, but just a little bit of variation. And you can also get less on your brush and do the same just to add more texture because not all rocks are like smooth, right? And while we were doing the rocks, I'm going to do this smaller island as well. So the same sort of technique of a lot of pigment and then none and quite a little, like not much water, and just dragging out the color. So next we will be painting in the top of the island here. Um, and I did this in kind of two stages. I did the base color and then a darker green on top of it. But the darker green I did a little bit later to like keep the texture of the darker green on top of the lighter color. So in order to do that, this is a very simple wash, just where this white part is on top of the islands. Just taking this green color here, this one, it's like a yellowish green, and just putting it all over the top side of the island here. It doesn't have to be super dark or anything. Just like a light wash over the whole thing. Because this is just our base. Hello, Addie, who just came in. If you'd like,
Sorry.
no worries. This is
Thank
what we're
you. May I
painting.
start?
Hmm?
May I start?
Yeah, absolutely. This is what we're painting today.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we did start out with some pencil, just roughing out the shape
Okay.
here. Um, yeah, and we're just starting to paint the like details, kind of.
Okay.
So there is the green of the island, the grass. So I'll just wait for a minute or two, and then we'll get started on painting in the lighthouse. We kind of want the green of the grass here specifically to be dry so we don't have any of the colors bleeding together. So we'll just wait for a minute or two. It shouldn't take too long to dry. All right, it's almost dry, so we'll just start in like like 30 seconds at the most. All right, it should be good enough. So we're going to take the round brush still and using the red to start off the lighthouse here. So this is the red that I'm using. Yeah. And I am going to start the red right at the base. This is why we wanted to wait for the green to be mostly dry, just so we can make sure that we're not getting any sort of bleed in between the colors. And so most of the red pigment here, I'm going to keep concentrated to the right-hand side of our lighthouse shape here and just kind of putting it to about halfway and then rinsing off my brush and dragging it out just a little bit to about 3/4-ish of the way. And that is our first red stripe on the lighthouse. There we go. So now we're going to move up about the same thickness as the red at the bottom. It's a little bit hard to approximate, so just kind of go whatever with whatever you feel like. You can make really thin parts or really thick stripes like I'm doing now, or you can have like really thin white ones and really thick red ones, and just I messed up a little. I put it all the way to the side. I wasn't thinking. Well, good thing about watercolor is water erases it. And yeah, just keeping the dark red concentrated to the right side as before. And dragging it out. Another thing you can do is like start by specifying the top and the bottom with 2 dots just to make sure you have the right kind of size of band for the red, and then the same kind of process of very, very concentrated red and then dragging out the color. And then we have the red of our lighthouse. Nice and simple. So while we wait for this red to dry, we're going to do the gray on the top of the lighthouse here. And just taking that same gray that you took for the rocks at the bottom of the island, just take it again on your brush and following the same kind of principle as the lighthouse of having a really concentrated color on the right side. And then just the lighter tone on the left side so we can preserve kind of like our the light source of that is affecting the lighthouse. So having like adding in the dark till about halfway through and then taking a clean brush and just dragging out the color again. This also helps like the lightning on one side and darkening on the other. This helps showing that it's like a circular building as well, right? Because it's got no kind of like sharp shadows to it. So this part is not like we don't want it to be too visible, but we want to add a little bit of contouring to the white part of our lighthouse here. So I'm going to take this like yellowish brown color and just like the smallest amount on my brush. So it's practically nothing. Whoop. Just so it's the lightest amount of color possible, as we don't want it to be too much. And just doing the same thing as the red and the gray, but just a lot lighter. See, that was too dark. Just so the white doesn't look flat next to um the like red and the gray. So just like the smallest amount of color on your brush as possible. All right, to finish off the lighthouse, we're just adding a little bit of yellow at the top here for the light or the light bulb because it's daytime, so it wouldn't really be on, but just adding in with this yellow here, just adding in a little bit of like a bulb almost, and kind of spreading it as the middle being the concentrated part, and just spreading it all inside this kind of square here. Okay, we're gonna start painting in this tiny little house here because it's fairly simple. Um, just taking the yellow that we just used for the white part of the lighthouse. Quite a lot of it. And this is our roof color here. So just adding in the roof. Like so. This isn't supposed to be like super detailed or anything. It's just adding um to the like kind of story of the world as whoever operates the lighthouse needs to live somewhere, right? Um yeah, so just adding in the roof, that's just the brown. Yeah. For the body of the house, we're just going to be using the same gray that we have been using. Or you could use any color you want, really. It's just kind of the siding of the house, so just adding it in. It's fairly simple. And like that's it for the little house there. So the next step is going to be adding in foliage. Um, so adding in some vines on the lighthouse and some trees next to it. Um, yeah, so that's our next step here. And it's fairly simple. So with your brush, mostly dry, just going in with the same grass green that we used um, for this part and just adding in kind of some like blob shapes. So these are like treetops here. and just adding in the leaves just like this. So pretty simple. You can add however many you like. You can also add in some bushes, although they won't be the most visible thing. But adding them on like the side of the house here. Maybe on this side of the lighthouse. And then we are going to add in some vines to go on the lighthouse. So if you have a larger brush does work for this, but if you have a smaller brush, it's going to be much easier. This is a size 4 brush. So it's pretty small, not like too small or anything, but this is honestly my favorite brush that I've ever bought. But just taking the same green and doing little small kind of bushes all up, well, about a third of the way up the lighthouse. And just adding them in kind of like little clumps, kind of so it looks like little sections of the vines, and you can add in some thinner ones or some thicker ones. And this is mainly to show that the lighthouse has been here for a little bit of time, right? Just kind of adding to our like story of the green or the lighthouse. Yeah, so it's fairly simple. Doesn't have to be too complicated. This is optional, by the way, so if you don't want to add in greenery, you don't have to. I just kind of add in greenery to everything. So this is also the time where I added in the darker green to the base. So this is the green, this darker green to the island, kind of just adding in a little bit of depth and kind of going in with the same technique as the leaves or the vines of just like a blobby kind of, not a smooth like painting, where you're just kind of adding in some variation to the grass here. You can also even add a little bit of this color to your trees to do a little bit of variation in them, and to these smaller islands over here. So the next thing I'm doing is just going to be adding in some tree trunks. And you can use a darker brown if you'd like, but I'm going to be using this same dark yellowish brown. And just adding in some very fine lines with your thin paintbrush here. And yeah, you can even add in little lines like that. And trees have like thicker bases, so adding a little bit more paint towards the bottom will help like make it look thicker. Yeah. And also you can add in some branches to connect some of your vines, which will help it look a little bit more realistic. Just adding in very subtle branches between pieces. It doesn't have to be too like noticeable, right? Because it's you're standing pretty far away from the lighthouse. So you can't really see the like fine details. So you can kind of get away with just doing a little bit. So this is where all of the painting is done. And this is also where I went in with a ballpoint pen to do the outlines. Um, you don't have to do this. We're running out of time just a tiny bit because it does take a little while, but if you are going to do it, wait for the paint to completely dry and I'll show you how I do the outlining that I did. But I just am going to wait for the paint to kind of dry for a little while. So, the way I kind of outline is leaving like little gaps in my lines, to kind of like more imply the entire outline rather than to do the like whole thing completely. Um, so just adding in, um, not like super detailed anything, just the like tiniest little bit, just to add a little bit more detail. Um, to our lighthouse here. Yeah, so for the light in the middle, I did like a little circle, and yeah, it's it's fairly simple as we did pencil, so it's kind of following your pencil lines and following the outline of what we painted. So you can see for like the bands of the lighthouse, I'm not going all the way over for all of them. Um, for like a couple of lines, you can do like all the way over, or like it's kind of up to you how you kind of um pen things in. Um yeah, so just kind of going over the basic shape of things, adding in just a little bit more detail. So by adding an outline here, we're kind of giving the painting more of a like cartoonish style, which is why it's kind of optional to add in the pen, so it doesn't look as realistic after adding it in. But this is how I would do my watercolors, is adding in an outline on top, just because I like it looks like clean when you add outlines to it. It kind of like it adds like division to your like colors and things, and adds a little bit more of a like kind of a more defined feel to your painting.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Sorry. Your pencil is for watercolor.
My pen or
Yeah.
my pencil? This is just a normal ballpoint pen. Um, because we waited for the ink or the paint to completely dry, you don't have to worry about the pen bleeding with the watercolor. Um, if we were to do the ink first, then yes, you would need to worry about it being a waterproof pen. But because I'm doing the ink after all the paint is dried, there's no worry about the pen smudging or anything like that.
Your pen is a watercolor pen?
No. So this is the pen. It's called a Zebra Sarasa, and it's just a normal pen. You can use any ballpoint pen.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Teacher, I'm done.
Oh, that's really pretty. I like it.
Good job.
Wow.
You forgot to draw the bird.
Yeah. Yeah. So the birds are pretty easy. They're
Yeah.
just kind of like this, right? Very simple. You can have them be like taller or like this, just to show that they're like in flight.
Jerry?
Angela, so nice.
Yeah.
喎.
Oh, yours is really pretty too. I like it.
Thank you.
You all are so great at painting.
Angela，我想問下咧，佢係咪用
係
普通嗰啲原子筆嘅咋？佢嗰啲
呢
用乜
啲
筆
可以用
係咪有個
呢啲 Sharpie pen 呢啲嗰啲
哦嗰啲
係
好 sharp 嗰啲幼嗰啲
呀。咁佢有一邊幼嘅，有一邊粗啲嘅。
哦
咁我
，OK，
用幼
明白。
嗰個就
佢呢個
咁
係咪
填上去。
for 係嗰個咩㗎？嗰個 watercolor 嘅佢
放咩都得㗎呢個。
哦，OK，我就見到好似
即係你
嗰
can
啲水
draw
筆
on
嗰啲
top
咁
of
樣樣，見佢揸
watercolor。
住個支好似係水筆嚟喎。
Yes。
OK，thank you。
Joey, what about the next class?
The next class we are going to be doing a fruit bowl painting. So
Okay.
it'll still be watercolor. I don't have a finished example of it, but these are some of the fruits that I've been painting. So we're going to be doing a fruit bowl with some fruits
Thank
and
you.
some things. So it won't be exactly like a still life, but it'll be like a very common subject of still lifes.
Angela，
係
係，喂，你可唔可以同我問下阿 Sue 咧？我見佢嗰盒顏色係好多色嘅喎。
嗰啲係
咁你 suggest 嗌我買，我見佢嗌我買嗰隻係12色嘅啫喎。
咁你可以買多啲顏色嘅。你話
佢如果佢 suggest 我係買嗰啲，應該嗰啲顏料會靚啲啊嘛。
係。
因為我哋完全冇經驗啊嘛，就變咗係跟佢買嘅啫嘛。其實而家喺度。
Actually，你有冇同阿 May 傾過啊？阿 May 頭先話好似佢有啲 watercolor supply 俾你哋㗎。
係咩？冇喎，佢冇 WhatsApp 我喎。
哦，冇 WhatsApp 你啊？
哦，即係阿 May 都阿 May 都係熟㗎。
啫，係啊，
佢
佢
都係熟㗎。哦，咁就得啦，咁樣樣。係咯。
Teacher，
Yeah.
sorry，Eddie wants to know how come your watercolor is so many colors?
Oh, because I have made, so I bought this case that was like completely blank and empty, and I filled it with my own colors.
Oh, yeah. Then you mix it as different color and then you put it in different layers. So it end up to be so many different paints, so many different blue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
因為佢自己整出嚟㗎。
哦，
即係佢
咁犀利㗎，
藍色，
你溝出嚟㗎。我見你嗰盒嘢咁多顏色，我就見佢咁變咗我哋唔 match 佢嗰啲顏色咯。其實就係，因為我用翻佢嗌我買嗰隻咧，我油出嚟個藍色咧都唔一樣，我就見。
嗱，即係如果佢話深啲藍色，你就藍色加少少黑色，整到深少少。如果佢話淺藍色，你就藍色加少少白色，咁啊你整淺白。
佢冇咁樣教我哋喎，係咪啊？
佢冇教，但係我識咯。
我明白啦。
OK，
你好有經驗啊嚇，果然係。
唔係嘅，唔係。
係啊，唔係啊，其實佢咁樣教我哋畫畫咧，佢應該係咁樣教我哋溝埋噶嘛，咁我哋先學到嘢，咁啊我哋點樣學嘢啊？我哋完全係一張白紙嚟嘅啫嘛。 我好奇怪，因為我啲顏色同我啲顏色都唔一樣嘅，我就話
要 mix 嘅，yeah，
OK，
make it lighter or darker. You do it yourself.
thank you。其實
Yeah.
佢可唔可以嗌佢教埋我哋咧？係應該要 mix 嘅咧。
Oh, okay. Julie,
Mm-hmm.
Eddie wants to wonder whether next time when you the color blue, if it's darker blue, you tell us what add it into darker or lighter blue, what you can add into lighter, so she know the exact
same
color that
you.
you use.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So like
So-
the sky blue, you can make it mix with a little bit
Yeah,
white and make it lighter or
我
something
同
like
依
that.
都唔同佢一樣咯，因為佢嗌我買嘅嘛嗰隻顏料，但我油出嚟係完全係兩件事嚟嘅。
So the thing about watercolor is, instead of lightening the color, you just use water, right?
Yeah, add more water too. Yeah.
係啦，
So this is like the paint color that I use for the ocean and the sky. It is
呢個藍色嚟嘅
incredibly
呢個
dark, right?
full color，this is full color。
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you just take water and the same color
Yeah.
gets like a lot lighter, right?
Water, yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I get lighter blues. Or any lighter color, mainly. Yeah. So it is almost
So we-
2:30. Which is the
We
end
have
of our
we have
class.
this one watercolor. Is it okay?
Yeah, that's good watercolor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.